Today I'll be doing a presentation that shows the unique paths you can take to go to law school, both in Canada and the UK. My main message will be to show everybody that you can do separate paths, either the Canadian version, UK, and there's also the Australian version. But I'm only going to speak from my own experience since I've only applied through LSAT, which is the Canadian one, and UCAS. And I'll start with a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Jada, and I graduated last June from McMaster University's Political Science program with specialization in public law and judicial studies. I'm currently wrapping up my Master's of Science and Technology at York and working over the summer to complete my final research paper. And in the fall is when I'll be starting law school in the UK at the University of Birmingham with the goal to become a cybersecurity lawyer. So there are many components to a law school application. So here I picked out the main ones that I'll go into more detail about, including the required and supplementary documentation, your GPA, LSAT score, reference letters, and personal statement. And getting all of these together requires planning ahead of time and setting timely goals to ensure that you're hitting these benchmarks. So let's begin with the required documents. Through the LSAT portal, they will forward your required documentation, including your transcripts and references, to the applicable law schools that you want to apply for. And the supplementary documents, including documents that only some schools may require, are submitted all in one other section to each law school through LSAT as well. And for example, if you're applying to Windsor's dual JD program, they require a supplementary document that LSAT would send to them only. And some schools, I think, also require a CV, so they'd make sure those ones get it as well. So your GPA is also another big part of your application. Schools don't often have a cutoff, but more so an average that they go for. Some may look at your last 2 years, and some may look at your cumulative GPA, so all your years combined, your GPA, and some look at your best 2 or 3 years. So to kind of figure out what schools you want to apply to and what they look at, I'll provide the specific link to that down below in the chat once I'm done. And it's definitely important to do your research on what schools require and to be strategic when applying. So if your last 2 years of university were really strong, maybe apply for the schools that look at that. And it's so important to understand where you stand as well as where the school's expectations are and go from there. But honestly though, don't make it stop you from applying altogether because there are many aspects that they look at. Some may also value components like your LSAT score more or just your experience. So when applying to law school here, you have to submit an LSAT score to be considered. With this test right now, there are only, I think, 4 sections. It used to be 5, and you would write it in person. One of the sections were unscored, but during COVID, they moved it to become something called the LSAT Flex, which is what I did, and it brought it down to 3 sections. The logic games, reading comprehension, and logical reasoning section, and now they've also added a unscored experimental section, which is, yeah, it's not scored, but they use it for their own need for some reason. I'd also say with the LSAT, practice is very important. Practice as much as you can, do the diagnostic tests. LSAT provides a website called LSAT Law Hub, and they have a couple diagnostic and practice tests that they've administered in the past on there. So I'll provide the link to that also below. When doing my first diagnostic test, I actually scored very low, and it made me realize that I need time to really focus and get a higher grade. So I bought the practice books, and some people also hire tutors, do classes. I did the Princeton Review class, which was around, I think it was 1 or 2 classes a week with about 7 other students, and this was during COVID, so it was online, and they provided the books to help. So that was an okay experience, but if I had the chance to do it again, I'd suggest doing a more focused approach, like a one-on-one tutor, just so that you can ask more questions when you're confused and not be judged. The second part of the LSAT is the LSAT writing section. This does not count towards your actual LSAT score, but they give you an assigned topic, and schools look at it to kind of see your argumentative writing skills that you'll be expected to produce while you're in law school. You can complete this section as early as 8 days prior to the LSAT, and you only have to write it once. So if you were to do the LSAT multiple times, you don't need to write this portion again unless you want to improve on it. So for reference letters, the typical format for each school goes 2 academic and 1 non-academic. So that could be either employer or a coach from an athletic team, anything like that. Definitely check the OLSAS link that I'll provide later, as they outline what each school requires. The best advice I can give here is to reach out to people who can speak on your abilities, academic abilities, and start reaching out to your professors early on. I'd say at the beginning of school, because these applications are due in November. So as early as September or late September, early October, reach out to them. For me, doing this during the pandemic made it difficult, as my professors hadn't seen me in person in a long time. So I made sure for the professors that I asked, I provided them a very detailed cover letter with the grades that I got in their class, my accomplishments in their course, any problems I had in their course and how I solved it, and my, yeah, just to be a fresh reminder of how their class was and how you did in it, because they may not remember you as they have so many other students. Another thing I'd say is to maybe explain to them what law schools want, maybe key things to mention, especially if they're not a prof from the discipline of law, or if they teach maybe sciences, they may not know what they want to hear. So definitely provide a list of talking points on that. It's also annoying that on OLSAS, you can't see what the referees put. So if you ask the prof to write it, they send it directly to OLSAS. So it's definitely important to give them that talking point list to know exactly what's going into it, because you may never see it. I've never seen what my profs wrote for my law school application. So yeah, that's definitely key. Personal statements. For the personal statement, I'm guilty of starting this late. Found myself under a lot of pressure once the school year started, and I had a lot of papers to do and no time to write about myself. So again, I definitely start this process early, maybe in the summer. That way you can make adjustments throughout the summer without the added pressure of school assignments. For example, many ask you, the law schools ask for like a tailored set of questions, each have their own set, and many can ask you about maybe what you can or how you would contribute to a more inclusive environment, your community and academic leadership involvement, specific career aspirations, personal successes, dealing with challenges. And I know Western specifically always asks if there's a work of art that influenced you or had a significant impact on you in your life, whether that be a TV show, music, or a film. So definitely start a rough copy on that in the summer. And yeah, also don't forget to hype what school you're going to and make it very specific and tailored to them, because yeah, that's very important. So just mention maybe teams that you would join at their school, specific courses you're interested on taking, and professors who you may look forward to working with based on their interests. And yeah, so there's many unique paths on becoming a lawyer in Canada, you can also apply, like I did, to the UK, which is the path I've chosen. So I'll just do a short spiel on that. So this year I applied through their portal called UCAS, where you apply for up to 5 schools. And if you've already done your BA here, an honors BA here, you can apply to a 2-year accelerated LLB law degree. Usually in Canada, it is 3 years long. And that allows you to complete it a year sooner, as well as boost your employability by participating in legal clinics and acquiring a more international experience that you can't really get in a Canadian law school. There's also agencies that will assist you with your application to the UK. I signed up with one called Canada Law from Abroad, who they assign you an agent. So I have one lady who works with me, and she ensures that I got all the right documents in when applying, such as my transcripts, because the UK system's a bit different with their grading system. So she kind of helped me get that out to the registrar there. And right now, with my application for the visa there, she's walking me through it. So it's such a helpful thing. I definitely recommend taking advantage of that. And yeah, I think that concludes my portion of the presentation. So thank you for listening.